You know, when a celebrity's story breaks, your mind probably goes straight to the gossip sites, right? Social media trends, that kind of thing. But what if I told you a single health scare could actually move stock prices, create entire new insurance markets, and even reshape philanthropy? Today, we're going to unpack just how one piece of news about one famous person can send massive ripples through the entire economy.
So let's just ask the big question right up front. What really happens when a person with that much global influence faces a serious health crisis? Well, the answer is way bigger than you'd think. It's not just the tabloids paying attention, the global economic snaps to attention. And the effects are immediate, they're complex, and they reach further than you can imagine.
Okay, so let's follow the money, right? Let's trace these effects, starting with that very first ripple, the immediate public and healthcare shockwave that radiates out from that initial piece of news. All right, picture this. The news drops. Kim Kardashian has a brain aneurysm. What happens next? Well, almost instantly, millions of people grab their phones and hit Google. Suddenly, search terms like brain aneurysm symptoms, treatment costs, and best hospitals for neurosurgery just explode. This isn't just idle curiosity, you guys. This is the very first sign of a market starting to move.
And all of that searching, it does not go unnoticed. Investors see this massive spike in public awareness, and they start connecting the dots. They start anticipating a higher demand for diagnostic tools, MRIs, CT scans, fancy neurosurgery equipment. And what happens? The stock prices for companies like Medtronic, Siemens, and GE Healthcare can literally jump. That's a direct line from a celebrity headline straight to Wall Street.
But this isn't just about stocks and big corporations. This is where it gets really personal really fast. Because when people search for treatment cost, they find a number that's absolutely terrifying. Up to $150,000 for one treatment in the US. For most families, that number is completely life-altering.
And seeing a number like that, it forces millions of people, prompted by a story about someone they've never met, to ask themselves a really tough question about their own lives. And you better believe the insurance industry is paying attention. They are ready for this moment. This widespread anxiety, it's a huge opportunity for them. Companies like United Health and Aetna start pushing specific policies like critical illness coverage. Their agents can now use this very real, very public story as a powerful example to drive sales. They're turning public fear directly into premium revenue. All right, so that's the public reaction. But what about the celebrity's own empire? Let's look at the second ripple, because we're not just talking about a person here. We're talking about a billion-dollar brand. Yeah, Kim K isn't just a person, she's an entire enterprise. And a health scare puts that brand on a knife's edge. On one side, you've got massive risk. Investors might get spooked and pull back. Brand partners could pause their campaigns. A delayed Skims launch could blow a hole in the revenue projections. But on the other side, there's a massive opportunity. A story about resilience can create this huge wave of public sympathy, which can actually make brand loyalty stronger than ever in the long run. Okay, so the waves are spreading out even further now. This whole thing becomes an absolute gold mine for the media. The story isn't just about healthcare anymore, or even just the brand. And the way they cash in, it's actually a pretty simple but super powerful chain reaction. The story breaks, public interest goes through the roof, and every media outlet, from CNN to People magazine, rushes to pump out content. And every single click, every page view, translates directly into a spike in ad revenue. So who's buying up all this ad space? Well, it's not random. It's incredibly targeted. Think about it. Neuroscience clinics, health supplement companies, insurance providers, women's wellness brands. They all want to place their ads right next to this content because they're tapping directly into the mindset of a primed and very concerned audience. And this brings us to the final wave. And this one might just have the most lasting impact of all, the philanthropy effect. This is where a personal crisis can be transformed into a long-term force for good, both socially and financially. This is where a celebrity can channel their personal experience into a public cause. We've seen this before, right? Just look at the Michael J. Fox Foundation for Parkinson's Research. It's raised billions. A hypothetical brain health awareness foundation started by someone like Kim Kardashian could do the exact same thing. It could attract huge corporate funding, give a major boost to new health tech startups, and create entirely new pathways for investment. So, think about the whole journey we just traced. It all starts with Google searches and stock prices, moves to insurance policies and brand value, and ends with philanthropic funding. It's wild, but it's true. A single celebrity health story has the power to completely reshape investment, public awareness, and even entire markets. So it really makes you wonder, doesn't it?
In a world disconnected, this driven by influence, whose personal story is going to be the next big economic event?
You know, sometimes the best financial advice pops up in the most unexpected places, like, say, the celebrity gossip pages. Sounds a little crazy, I know, but today we're going to unpack some seriously powerful money lessons that are hiding in plain sight, right in the headlines. So let's just start with this question. When you hear about a billionaire having a health scare, what could that possibly teach you about your finances? I mean, their world seems like it's a million miles away from ours, right? Well, the answer might surprise you. It's everything. Because when you boil it all down, the basic rules of risk, value, and security, they're the same for everyone. So let's break down how one headline can actually give you some critical financial lessons you can use like today.
Okay, lesson 1. I like to call this the billionaire's warning, and it's got nothing to do with their yachts or private jets. It's about a harsh reality that their incredible wealth completely shields them from, the absolutely catastrophic cost of a major health crisis. And this really gets to the heart of it. For someone with that kind of money, even a massive medical bill is, well, it's just a number. But for the rest of us, as the source material points out, a single medical event, like a brain aneurysm, could be financially devastating.
Just let that number sink in for a second. Over $1 million. We're talking about something that could wipe out a whole lifetime of savings in an instant. This isn't just a random figure on a slide. For most people, this is a real and, frankly, terrifying risk. So you might be asking, how in the world do you protect yourself against a threat like that? Well, it all comes down to a two-step financial safety net, and these are the absolute must-haves. First, you've got to maintain your health insurance. And second, you need to be systematically building an emergency fund. These are your first and best lines of defense. And here's a really practical tip that comes from the source material. It's a clear, actionable goal. Try to dedicate at least 10% of your monthly income to what you can think of as an emergency health fund. See, it's not just about saving for a rainy day, it's about targeted protection for the biggest financial risk you face. All right, so that's how we protect our personal finances. But a big story like this doesn't just affect one person. Oh no, it sends ripples all the way across the entire market. So let's take a look at that reaction next. You can see the cause and effect pretty clearly here. A major celebrity headline breaks, and all of a sudden, you have millions of people jumping online searching for information about that specific health issue. And that huge wave of public attention, it can directly move markets. And believe me, this isn't just some theory. We saw it happen. Companies that make medical devices or treatments connected to the health scare, companies like Medtronic, GE Healthcare, and Johnson & Johnson, they all saw noticeable movements in their stock price. It's a perfect example of how public curiosity can translate directly into investor activity. So what's the big takeaway for you as an investor? Well, it's absolutely crucial to recognize these trends are happening, but it's even more important not to get swept up in the hype. Your investment decisions should always be based on solid data and your long-term strategy, not the emotional roller coaster of a 24-hour news cycle. And, you know, this market reaction isn't just about stocks. For people who create content or provide analysis, these trending topics are a massive opportunity. If you can provide smart, educational content that helps people understand what's going on, you can generate millions of views, and that creates its own pretty significant stream of revenue. Now, let's pivot away from the market and bring the focus right back to you, because this might just be the most powerful lesson of all. It's a fundamental shift in mindset that you can capture in 3 simple words. You are the asset. To really get this, we need to talk about a concept economists call human capital. And all that really means is the total economic value of you, your health, your skills, your knowledge, your experience. It's the engine that powers your ability to earn money throughout your entire life. Think about it like this. For a celebrity, their key assets are their brands and their public image, right? Well, for you, your key assets are your health, your professional skills, and your long-term earning power. The moment you start treating that, your own human capital, as your most important investment, everything about your financial strategy changes. And that brings us to our final lesson. This is the strategy that really ties everything we've talked about together to build real, lasting financial resilience. It's what we'll call the diversification defense. A core strategy of the super wealthy is that they never rely on just one thing. A celebrity diversifies across fashion, media, cosmetics, you name it.
You have to apply that exact same thinking to your own finances. That's how you make sure that one crisis, one bad break, won't completely derail your entire future. So what does that actually look like in practice? Well, it means having a well-balanced portfolio. You're not putting all your eggs in one basket. The source suggests a mix something like this. You've got equities or stocks for that long-term growth. You have your dedicated health fund for security. You have something like gold to help protect against inflation. And then you have fixed income, like bonds, for stability when the stock market gets choppy. Each piece has a different job to do.
And really, all of this brings us full circle, back to one final, powerful question. We've connected the dots between personal health, the stock market, and your overall financial strategy. So if we all agree that your health is truly your greatest asset, is your financial plan actually built to protect it? It's something to think about.